In the quiet English countryside, nestled amidst rolling green hills and ancient oak trees, stood the stately Warwick Manor. The old manor house, with its ivy-clad walls and towering chimneys, had been the subject of many local legends. Some whispered about the grand balls held in its opulent halls, while others spoke in hushed tones of a tragic love story and a haunting that had lingered for centuries. Eliza Marlowe, a determined and skeptical journalist from London, found herself reluctantly heading towards this enigmatic estate. Her editor had insisted she investigate the tales of a ghost haunting the manor, a story she found utterly ridiculous. Eliza prided herself on her logical mind and had little patience for the supernatural. But the assignment was hers, and she intended to debunk the myth and return to the city as quickly as possible. As her car wound its way along the narrow tree-lined road leading to the manor, Eliza couldn't help but admire the stunning autumnal landscape. The air was crisp, the sky a pale blue, and the leaves a riot of oranges and reds. The tranquility was palpable, a stark contrast to the bustling streets of London she was used to. Finally, the manor came into view. Its grand facade, though weathered by time, retained an air of majesty. Eliza parked her car and made her way to the heavy wooden door, her footsteps echoing on the stone pathway. She rang the ancient doorbell, and moments later the door creaked open, revealing a tall, handsome man with piercing green eyes and an easy smile. "Welcome to Warwick Manor," he greeted, his voice carrying a warm, melodic lilt. "You must be Miss Marlowe. I'm Henry, the caretaker." Eliza nodded, offering a polite smile. "Yes, that's me. Thank you for having me. I'm here to, well, investigate the stories of a haunting." Henry chuckled softly, a sound that echoed pleasantly through the grand entrance hall. "Ah, yes, the ghost. Many come to see if the tales are true. Come in, and I'll show you around. The manor has quite the history." As they walked through the manor's grand corridors, Henry recounted its storied past. Warwick Manor had been built in the late 17th century by Lord William Warwick, a wealthy nobleman. It was said that the manor had been a place of great joy and sorrow, hosting lavish parties while also being the site of tragic events. "The most famous tale," Henry began, his tone growing somber, "is that of Lady Evelyn Warwick. She was the daughter of Lord William and known for her beauty and kindness. But her life was marred by heartbreak." Eliza listened, intrigued despite herself. She had read about Lady Evelyn, a woman whose name was forever tied to the manor's ghostly lore. According to legend, she had fallen in love with a dashing young officer named Captain Thomas Ashford. Their love was passionate but forbidden, as Evelyn was already promised to another, a wealthy but cruel suitor chosen by her father. One fateful night, on the eve of her wedding, Evelyn and Thomas planned to elope. They were to meet in the manor's garden under the light of the full moon. But Evelyn never appeared. Some say she was locked away by her father, while others believe she was betrayed by her intended husband. The next morning, Captain Ashford was found dead in the garden, his heart broken, both figuratively and literally. Lady Evelyn was said to have vanished, her fate unknown, though some claimed she died of a broken heart. And thus, Henry concluded, the legend of the manor's ghost began. Many believe Lady Evelyn's spirit roams these halls, searching for her lost love. Eliza shivered slightly, not from fear but from the chill in the air. She glanced around the hall, taking in the portraits of long-dead Warwick staring down at her. "Have you seen this ghost?" she asked, trying to keep the skepticism out of her voice. Henry hesitated, a shadow passing over his face. "I've felt a presence, especially on nights like this, when the air is crisp and the moon is full. It's as if the manor remembers." Eliza couldn't help but smile at the romanticism of it all. Still, she had a job to do, and ghost stories wouldn't suffice. She needed tangible evidence, or rather proof that none existed. As the evening wore on, Henry showed Eliza to her room, a grand space with a four-poster bed and a large window overlooking the expansive gardens. The room was beautifully decorated, a blend of old-world charm and modern comfort. Eliza thanked Henry and settled in, determined to remain objective and unmoved by the manor's eerie atmosphere. Night fell, and a thick fog began to roll in, enveloping the manor in a ghostly shroud. Eliza found herself unable to sleep, her mind buzzing with the tales she'd heard. She decided to take a walk through the manor, hoping to gather her thoughts and perhaps encounter the so-called ghost. The halls were dimly lit, the soft glow of wall sconces casting long shadows. As she walked, Eliza couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She scolded herself for letting the stories get to her. It was just an old house creaking and groaning in the wind. Suddenly she heard a faint sound, like the soft rustling of fabric. She stopped, straining to listen. There it was again, an unmistakable whisper like a voice carried on the wind. Eliza's heart raced. She followed the sound, her footsteps silent on the thick carpet. The whispers led her to a grand staircase, at the top of which stood a figure in a long flowing dress. Eliza froze, her breath catching in her throat. The figure was faint, almost translucent, but unmistakably a woman. Her dark hair cascaded over her shoulders and her face was pale, almost ethereal. Eliza blinked and the figure vanished. She shook her head, convinced it was a trick of the light. But then she felt a cold breeze and heard a soft, mournful sigh. Gathering her courage, she ascended the staircase, her eyes scanning every shadow. At the top, she found a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, she entered a small, dusty room. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and something floral like lavender. On a small writing desk, she noticed an old, faded letter. Curious, she picked it up, her fingers tracing the elegant script. The letter was from Captain Thomas Ashford, professing his undying love for Lady Evelyn. It spoke of their planned elopement and his fear of what might happen if they were caught. Eliza's heart ached at the words, filled with such hope and desperation. Suddenly the room grew colder and the door slammed shut behind her. Eliza spun around, her heart pounding. The shadows seemed to shift and move, forming the outline of a woman. The figure materialized, and Eliza found herself staring into the sorrowful eyes of Lady Evelyn. The ghostly figure reached out, her expression one of profound sadness. Eliza felt a chill run through her as the ghost spoke, her voice a soft, mournful whisper. "He's gone. My love is gone." Eliza felt a surge of empathy. She had never believed in ghosts, but here she was, face to face with one. Lady Evelyn's spirit was trapped, bound by the sorrow of her lost love. Eliza knew she had to do something. Summoning her courage, she spoke, her voice steady. "Lady Evelyn, I found your letter. I know about you and Captain Ashford. I'm so sorry for what happened to you both." The ghost's eyes filled with tears and she nodded slowly. "We were to meet in the garden, but he was taken from me." Eliza felt a deep sadness, but also a sense of determination. "I can help you find peace," she said softly. "Perhaps there's a way to set things right, to reunite you with your love." At that moment, the door burst open and Henry rushed in, his face pale. "Eliza, what are you doing in here?" he asked, his voice tense. Eliza gestured to the ghostly figure. "Henry, it's Lady Evelyn. She's here." Henry's eyes widened and he glanced at the ghost. I didn't think it was real," he stammered. "I thought they were just stories." Lady Evelyn's spirit seemed to flicker, her form fading. "You must find him," she whispered. "Find Thomas." Eliza nodded. "We'll find him, I promise." With a final mournful look, Lady Evelyn vanished, leaving the room cold and silent. Eliza turned to Henry, who looked shaken but resolute. "We need to find Captain Ashford's resting place," Eliza said. "There must be something we can do to bring them peace." Henry nodded. "I think I know where to look." The next morning, Henry led Eliza to the old family crypt, a forgotten corner of the estate. The crypt was dark and cold, the air thick with the scent of damp stone. They searched through the dusty tombs, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. Finally, they found a small, unmarked grave. Henry brushed away the dirt and revealed a plaque that read, "Captain Thomas Ashford." Eliza felt a pang of sadness, thinking of the young man buried here, far from the woman he loved. Eliza knelt beside the grave, placing the letter she had found on the stone. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer for peace. As she did, a soft breeze stirred, and the fog that had settled over the crypt seemed to lift. The air felt lighter, almost serene. Suddenly, a warm glow appeared, enveloping the grave in a soft light. Eliza opened her eyes to see the ethereal figure of Lady Evelyn standing beside her. The ghost looked different now, no longer shrouded in sadness but radiating a peaceful aura. Her eyes, once filled with sorrow, now sparkled with gratitude. "Thank you," Lady Evelyn whispered, her voice like a gentle breeze. "You've given me the peace I've longed for." Eliza felt tears prick her eyes. "I'm glad I could help," she replied softly. "You deserve to rest in peace." Lady Evelyn glanced toward the entrance of the crypt, where another figure appeared, emerging from the shadows. It was a tall, handsome man in a military uniform, his expression filled with love and relief. Captain Thomas Ashford. His presence was strong, yet gentle, and as he approached, he reached out to Lady Evelyn. The two spirits stood together, their hands clasped, reunited at last. The air around them shimmered with a soft golden light. Eliza watched, feeling like an intruder in this intimate moment, but also honored to witness it. The love between them was palpable, a timeless bond that had endured beyond the mortal realm. As the light grew brighter, enveloping the couple, Lady Evelyn turned to Eliza one last time. "Tell our story," she said, her voice fading. "Let them know love is eternal." With those final words, the light intensified, and the two spirits began to fade. Within moments, they were gone, leaving behind only a gentle warmth and a sense of profound peace. Eliza stood up, wiping a tear from her cheek. The crypt was silent, but it no longer felt cold or eerie. Instead, it felt like a place of rest, a sanctuary for souls who had finally found peace. She looked down at the grave, now adorned with the letter and a few white flowers that had miraculously bloomed amidst the stones. Henry, who had been silently watching, stepped forward. His eyes were wide with awe and emotion. "Did that really just happen?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Eliza nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "Yes, it did. I think Lady Evelyn and Captain Ashford have finally found each other again." Henry looked at the grave, then back at Eliza. "Thank you for helping them," he said earnestly. "The manor feels different now, lighter somehow." Eliza took a deep breath, feeling a sense of closure. "It does," she agreed. "I think the manor's long-held sadness has lifted. It's finally at peace." With a final look at the crypt, Eliza and Henry made their way back to the manor. The morning sun had begun to break through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the estate. The fog had lifted, revealing the beauty of the surrounding gardens and the manor's timeless elegance. As they walked, Eliza felt a sense of accomplishment and serenity. She had come to Warwick Manor as a skeptic, but she was leaving with a story of love, loss, and the enduring power of the heart. It was a story she would share, not just as a journalist, but as someone who had witnessed the unexplainable and had been touched by the eternal bond of two lost souls. For the first time in years, the manor felt truly alive, and as Eliza drove away, she glanced back one last time, feeling a presence, a gentle, reassuring feeling that Lady Evelyn and Captain Ashford were finally at peace together, as they were always meant to be.